Hey guys, it's Ryan from The Dad Show. Before we get into today's episode, I'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor. Have you been looking for a way to get on the water for some family fun? If so, please go visit my friends at Blue Springs Boat Company located in Kingston, Tennessee. Family owned and operated since 1988, Blue Springs Boat Company is the largest authorized Bennington and Regal dealership serving the East Tennessee area. They offer new and used boats, have a full parts department, and a certified service department on hand to help you with all your boating needs. They're proud to be your family's boat dealer. Let Blue Springs Boat Company help you find the right boat for you and your family. Visit them online at www.bluespringsboats.com or call 865-376-1472. Now, let's get to the podcast.
Welcome to the Dad Show Podcast, a show all about impacting, empowering, inspiring, and uplifting information to become a better dad, husband, man, and mentor. And now, your host, Ryan Ladd.
Welcome back to the Dad Show, everybody. I want to thank you for listening and for watching. I've got a great guest on the show today, but before I introduce him, I'd like to ask that you would follow us on all social media at The Dad Show Podcast, as well as online at www.thedadshowpodcast.com, where you can find all of our podcasts, you can find merch, and just more information about myself and how the podcast got started. I've got a great guest, like I said. His name is Jamie Elmore. I went to school with Jamie for a long time, to say the least.
Yep.
Man, he just has been posting some great stuff on social media here lately. And whenever I started the Dad Show, I was thinking in my head some guests that I'd like to have on. And with what he's posting about his marriage and being a dad and being a husband and that nature, I was like, man, I got to have you on the show. We got to sit down for a conversation. And it's going to be a great show, guys. What we've had here off camera that you all ain't heard, I hope that we can put back into the podcast because it's some great information. It's already helped me in my marriage because I'm not perfect by any means and looking for all the help I can get. So, Mr. Jamie Elmore.
All right. Thanks for having me on. It's I was kind of nervous about coming on, but I feel a little bit better now. So.
Oh yeah, you'll get more comfortable as we go on here.
I'm 34. I grew up here in Harriman. I'm married. I have 3 children. They're 12, 13. My boys. My little girl's 6.
And that's Braden and Blake
Braden and Blake, and my little girl's name is Kate. My wife, her name is Kristen. We've been married for, I hope I get this right, it's about 7.5 years. Been together for 9. It's been great. She moved down here from Ray County to be with me. We met at the old hospital. I was working in the lab just part time while I was doing the tech gig, and she come in as a new phlebotomist, and I didn't really want to work in the lab that night. And my buddy Roel said, "Hey man, did you see that hot brunette down there?" I was like, "No." And then
I'm going to work in the lab.
Yeah, I'm going to the lab. I saw her and I was like, "Oh my, yeah." So I
picked up every shift in the lab after that.
I'd love to say I swept her off her feet, and was super slick, but no, I kind of stalked her a little bit. And, she eventually came around. So, but I work as a nurse here. I've been a nurse for 10 years. I do some construction. I do all kinds of stuff. Just little side hustles and. But my main job is as a nurse, and
just trying to provide for the family.
Yeah. That's how I met you. Or not met you. We went to school together, but how we actually really hooked up was at the old ER, Rome Medical.
Yep. And that's where if y'all haven't listened to the past shows, that's where I met my wife, was through a mutual friend at the hospital, and that's where Jamie and I worked together. And since then, they've moved into a new hospital from there, and man, it's just been a crazy journey, to say the least. So
without that old building, man, we wouldn't be sitting
here
now.
Exactly.
None of us would have the lives that we have right now.
And y'all are also going to hear Jamie and his wife are taking a little adventure and heading to Maine.
Yeah.
And going to be a travel nurse. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. But first, I'd like to start off with you being a dad, man. You had your daughter Kate with your wife, but before that, was Braden and Blake that came into your life. So
yeah, so I started out as a bachelor, of course, as we all do. But I lived with a friend, and I don't want to say I was obsessed with her, but I knew she had the two boys, and so it's a big step at that age to say hey, I'm ready to take this on, and so I texted her one night just out of the blue, and I was like, hey, how's it going? She's like, who this? And, she had deleted my number. So
you immediately, wah.
It's like, well, there goes my chances. And, but no, we just went from there. We were married fairly quickly after. We knew that this wasn't something to drag out for years on end. We both knew that we'd be married. And I told a friend of mine way before I even texted her. I was like, "That's the girl I'm gonna marry." I told Roel at the old hospital, I was like, "I'm gonna marry that girl someday."
That's awesome.
Like, you watch me. It's gonna happen. He's like, "No, you're not." He's like, "You're too ugly." He's like, "Your feet stink. You're too ugly. It's not gonna work. She's not gonna like you."
Now, take a look now.
Roel. Yeah. So, that's kind of where we're at now. The boys are 12 and 13. It's been crazy journey of learning to become a dad, and working or being a husband at the same time, and getting used to kids and getting used to a new life. You go buy a home together, you move in, you're broke. Early in our marriage, we had nothing. We had used furniture, and our TV sat on a Lowe's cardboard box with like some 2x4s under.
Almost reminds you of the old days when they used to take the new TV and put it on top of the old TV.
Exactly, yeah. But we survived it. We come together, and we worked to make ends meet, and kids were fine and fed. Some nights we had some not so appetizing meals, but we made it through it.
And you also had some, as we're talking off camera, you had some other hurdles that you had to jump at.
Yeah. So, early in the marriage, right after Kate was born, she started having, a little bit of postpartum depression, and, as a lot of women do. And as a young man, it's hard to identify that, because we're not emotionally ready for or mature enough. And we're certainly not trained on that. We don't know what to look for. So you just think like, man, why is she being crazy all of a sudden? And,
crazier,
man. Yeah, crazier. And then you react as a young man would, late 20s. It's like, why is she upset? Obviously you think, oh, I did something.
Oh yeah. That immediately turns to the husband's fault. It's like,
it's not that her brain is producing crazy chemicals right now and she can't, think straight, and she's trying to take care of this baby and breastfeed and, sleeping a couple hours a night while you in there just, catching Z's 6 and 8 hours a night.
Wait a minute, you did that? What?
Well,
how'd you get out?
Well, she slept in our room, but she was strictly breastfed. So, really, what can I do other than get on my wife's nerves?
Yeah.
While she's trying to breastfeed. So, so I did get to sleep, and but I was working day shifts and night shifts, and just making ends meet, trying to figure out adulting.
Oh yeah.
I'd never adulted before it. I lived with one of my best friends,
oh yeah, exactly.
We goofed off every night. We didn't worry about that stuff. We paid our mortgage and our electricity, and we just had fun.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have to worry about family finance back then. So.
Yeah, or having to worry about taking care of kids or anything of that nature.
And it's a full-time gig.
And that's rough too. I know from my experience, my wife breastfed as well, and so with her breastfeeding and always having a child, just on her, touching her, reaching for her, she didn't want anything to do with me. It was like, and you almost feel like, well, man, I'm not
taking it personally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you have to back up and be like, no, this is, I understand, that.
Yeah. But, back then we weren't able to process that. So then you become reactive, and then you have all these fights that build off something that never should have been a fight in the first place.
Exactly.
If we had took the time to say, hey, you have this negative energy, what's going on with you, instead of like, hey, why are you tripping? I think a lot of fights would have been prevented,
with those open lines of communication. And that was one thing that my wife and I learned in the hospital, was to have those main open lines of communication, to basically overly communicate,
right,
so that there's no questions asked, or nobody's sitting there wondering, well, am I good enough, or do I look good enough, do I look fat, or are they going out with somebody else, anything of that nature, that just takes that away out of the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And also during, like we were talking about off camera, my brother passed away during, kind of the height of that. I think, just off the top of my head, I think Kate was around a year old. I know he passed in December. She was around a year old. So that's kind of like the height of, the postpartum. And so I'm dealing with that, and she's dealing with this, and it was a lot, but we got through it, couple battle scars, but we loved each other, and we really wanted to be together. But it's just it's a lot to deal with, emotionally for two young people, with new baby and young children, and you're trying to struggle anyway. So we got through it, and after that, things really started getting better. So now we have an incredible marriage. Really, I feel like we got something that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, I know. Us talking, I'm almost sitting here like jealous. Like, wait, hold up, what am I?
Hey,
no.
It started, with, I identified things. I was like, I really feel like I could do better here. It's like we have, good communication. It's like, everything else is good. We're stable financially. We're stable here. Where did that fire go that used to be there? When I used to go to the lab, she would just drop all her stuff and run across the lab and just, jump at me. And that was like the best part of my day.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, man, I want that back. And I was like, well, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, well, I don't know. So, I started reading, and I started, just really listening to her, listen to, just really understand and not to respond. And once I started implementing these things, like we talked about, just take, 10 to 20 minutes a day. And this was more when I was working nights and she was on days. Like we'd have literally 30 minutes, and it's like high five out the door. I got to go to work. So she'd come home, and we'd just lay there on the couch or the bed or whatever, just kind of wrapped up. And some days we didn't talk about much at all. Some days we talked about a lot. But just getting that connection every day really, really helped. And it just really kind of sparks that.
Rather just in passing. And
it's, you don't want to complain about your day when you only got 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, God, baby, I don't want to go to work. And she's like, well, God, my day was miserable. It's like, no, let's check that at the door.
Yeah.
Let's have this time.
We can talk about this later on the phone.
Talk about it later. Yeah. You text me later, tell me about your bad day. It's fine. But just that was a good segue into, really opening up lines of communication and getting that intimacy back into your marriage, because when you're working full time and you've got kids, especially as they get older, they have more needs. Kate being 6 now, she's a lot more active. So you don't want to lose your marriage in the middle of kids.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, your wife is number one.
Exactly. The kids are going to grow up. They're going to go out. And
then when they leave, you're just going to stare at each other.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's for dinner? You don't want to do that. I saw this meme once, and it's like marriage is just a series of texts asking what we're going to get at the grocery store. And I was like, man, I don't want that.
No, it needs to be more than that. It needs to be deeper than that. And
of course, we still text every day, and it's like, hey, what are you getting at Kroger today? But
isn't that the hardest decision of anything?
No, let me tell you, man, my wife, I love her, I swear, but it's like, just surprise me, or just, she'll tell me these random items to get, and then you just freak out. You're like, well, what if she wants Cracker Barrel? What if she wants Zaxby's tonight? Like, I don't know. I'm going to make a bad decision here.
Well, and you're trying, that's a lot it's not a lot, but really when you're in the, field of battle on that, you're like, man, I want to be the best husband I can be in every aspect.
Yeah, all the time.
Whether it's going to McDonald's or going to Cracker Barrel or whatever. So you want to make the right decision all the time.
Yeah, we want to be on point 100% of the time. We fall short of that, but we really try. And I really do all the time. You just kind of like everything you do, you just kind of do it, for her and with her in mind. And I think that really helps out, in your day-to-day decisions.
And it sounds to me, building a team,
right?
Between you and your wife, and
yeah, really marriage, part of it, I think, is I hate to say a business, but really you're building together. You're really your finances are together. Your home is together. So you do have that business side of it. You have to have a solid teammate. You don't want somebody that you just butt heads with all the time. You can be super intimate, but this part of your life, you don't jive.
Yeah.
So, it's an all-inclusive thing where you have to just really have, you don't have to have the same goals, but very similar and at least moving in the same direction.
Yes.
So,
and you'd mentioned that, you got to reading. Was there any particular books or anything that you read, or was
there are, I can't remember the author of one. One is called The Intimate Marriage. It's more of a more biblically based book on marriage. And then, of course, you have, the Love Dare and the 5 Love Languages, which I think everybody has read.
Or should read.
Yeah, they really should. The Love Dare, if you don't want to go into all that, just, watch the movie. But after you watch the movie, you really need to read it. And I think 40 points may not be applicable to your scenario, but pick out some and, really try to do those things. Mm-hmm. And with the love language, too, my only problem with it is that, when you give love, say, mine is service, the way I give it, like I cook all the time, like I'm always doing stuff for her, she'll have friends over by the pool and I'm like the grill boy,
yeah.
Serving them by the pool.
Yeah.
I'm just always doing things for her, and that's the way I give it. And, she receives it by, touch and hugs and stuff like that. And that's something I've really incorporated it. But
it's really hard because we're basically, my wife and I are vice versa on that. Exactly what you just said. She's more service and I'm more touch and everything else. And so, if you don't understand those concepts, it's really hard.
Well, the problem that I was talking about was that I think that people need to understand and learn how to receive it in the way that it's given. So, me doing all these things, it's the way I'm showing it, but I don't think that you can necessarily just not receive it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I think that, if you really have the open line of communication, you can say, okay, he's really, putting effort here. He's trying, I'll get my hug here in a little bit, let him do his thing right now. He's loving me in his way.
Yes.
So I think she's finally come on board with it, 'cause I'm always doing all these little things, So I think, just being able to receive it as well as give it in your way is very important.
And it's work. Like, we had stated earlier that, whenever my wife wakes up and she's not all dolled up and pretty, I still tell her, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful. Yeah. And, that's not a position that you would normally tell your significant other that, usually it's whenever they're all dolled up, they just got ready to go out for dinner or whatever. And, but by doing that, I feel like that at any situation, she's going to feel as beautiful as she possibly can.
Right.
And at any point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just really instilling in them that you're their safe spot, that you don't ever have to worry about me, either, whether it be at the extreme, stepping out or, not loving you in certain situations, and I've told her before, I was like, I got eyes for you only. It's like, you can see an attractive girl at Kroger, but if you're in the mindset of, this is my wife, like this is all I want. Like, you're not even thinking about, little blonde girl at Starbucks.
I mean, you can say, she's a pretty girl.
Like,
or,
she's attractive. Like,
but,
okay, I need to go get my bread now.
But I'm not going to sit here and gawk and stare and, all that.
Yeah, as married men, I mean, we got to get away from that. I see all these guys on social media. I'm in several different men's group, and one is called like Men's Retreat from, it's like marriage men's retreat, something like that, then a couple that have like marriage problems, and then some where we just discuss marriage. It's unbelievable how many men are on there talking about cheating on their spouses, and they're really kind of bragging about it, or they'll post pictures of, women in, lingerie or stuff like that. And it's like, man, would you do that if she was looking? Like, how do you think you're making her feel right now?
Yeah.
We got to get away from that as men. We can't do that. It's an over-sexualized society anyway.
Yes, for sure.
How are you going to make her feel if you're posting stuff like that? Most women have body image issues anyway. Men too.
Yes.
Well, you and I were talking earlier. We both used to be, six-pack abs.
Hey, the dad bod's in.
All right. Dad bod's in. So we all struggle with, body image issues. The only reason I ever got six-pack abs in the first place was because this one nurse always called me skinny. And I was like, I'm going to show her.
I'm skinny. I'm going to have six-pack.
And then, probably about a year later, she had made a joke, and I just kind of lifted up my shirt. It was like, so, if you're
back in your bachelor days.
Yeah, way back then. But you can't do stuff like that, because they're going to feel terrible about themselves.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, he's out looking at that. He's not looking at me, and that's a terrible way to go. I mean, you're going to make somebody, the most important person in the world to you, you're going to make feel like absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I mean, well, think about it in a sports aspect. If you tell your quarterback, dude, you're terrible, you're never going to complete a pass, I don't even know why you're out here.
Yeah.
They're just going to sulk up and be done. That's the same thing with your wife. You're
Exactly.
a team. You have to be together and working towards every goal together. And if you tell her that you're talking about other women, or you're, thinking about how gorgeous that woman is, or you're posting pictures like that, that's going to be the same thing as to that quarterback. They're gone. They're done.
Yeah. I mean, can you blame a girl?
No, I would. I mean, if my wife was doing the same thing about guys, I would,
It's like, hey, I know I put on a few pounds here, but I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that. But I think as a society, it's married men, especially in our 30s. We're adults. We're not fully mature. Especially when we're around other guys. But you don't have to over sexualize everything and gawk at other women and make cat calls, and that's not a good way to go.
Well, that's those guys. They're they're real self-conscious. They're lacking in some aspect of life, and that's how they're compensating for it. Is
absolutely.
They post a picture, and then other guys comment. It makes them feel better. I posted that picture, or I'm getting a lot of comments on what I posted, and
absolutely.
And that's the same thing with a lot of the selfies. And like you said, a lot of the women have body image issues, and so by taking a lot of selfies and stuff that's all they're looking for is those comments and attention, because they're lacking all that. And
absolutely.
And
man, I must be super confident, because I never take pictures of myself. I tell her all the time. I say, I'm the hottest dad walking around Kroger right now.
Well, in Harriman, Tennessee, it's not very.
Well, so, not much competition.
So let's go back to like you said, we're older, we are maturing. How do you feel like your marriage, other than what we've already stated, how do you feel like your marriage has matured from when you first got married till now?
Through all the things that we did deal with early on, with what we've already talked about, I'd say let's look at like the last 3 years since we, are in our current home and we're a little more settled. One thing that's really matured is that our communication is a lot better, and there's a lot less reactivity. So if she's upset about something, I don't just pick up on a negative energy and respond negatively. I'm like, hey, baby, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you? And I don't just throw solutions at her. It's like, well, if you do this, this, and this, then this is not going to be a problem. So therefore, what you're saying is just, it's not that important. I really take the time to listen to her. And, I really take, any big decision we make, which obviously we're making huge moves right now. Her counsel is like right up there with my choices. It's 50-50 all the way. It's not, 48-52. There's no other split. It's 50-50. We're going to agree, and we're going to move forward. other than that, she graduated college. So she started back, working. She took care of our daughter for, the first, I guess, 4 years. She went and got her degree. So since she started working, obviously she's much more confident, and, I think that's really helped. It's hard being a stay-at-home mom. You're watching, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse all day long, and you're hanging out with kids
and grabbing at you.
And your husband's working nights and days, and, out building decks, and, you don't get that adult interaction. So, there have been several things where we have matured the last few years, and especially the last, I'd say 6 to 8 months. It's just really being intentional with everything that I do in our marriage, and, being a parent and being a provider. It's all been extremely intentional. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's helped. So,
and I think like what you was saying there, be intentional with, yes, you have kids, but you also have your wife as well. And,
right.
And have to spend time on your marriage. Yes, the kids need a lot of attention, and you have to tend to that.
Right.
But you also have to take time and have that time with your wife. And
absolutely.
And for me, my parents were married for 29-ish years, but I feel like they put all their energy into my brother and I. Mm-hmm. And, after we were gone, you're like, what do I have? You know what I mean? It's,
we've talked about that before. It's, do we want to be just sitting on the couch staring at each other, or do we want to have this fulfilling life where we're going to go on, adventures together, and we're going to really live out, into our 70s and 80s, being that cute old couple that's like holding hands on the porch or something. So you got to work on that now. You have to build a foundation. You can't put a roof on something that's not framed up.
Exactly.
So that's something that we're really working on, and we work more and more every day. And, this, trip coming up, it's just going to get, better and better. I mean, it's going to be just us against the world up there. We don't have a support system. So it'll be me and her relying on each other.
It's going to be hard, but with the foundation that you've built now,
right,
it's going to, like you said, you're going to be able to build on that and just keep growing.
Yeah. And you got to keep building. You can't slack up. And, you can't just go for a year and be great and then take a year off,
Think I'm good.
It's like, no, you gotta keep our attention.
Continue on that. And it's a continuous job. So how do you feel you've hit the hard times with your wife's postpartum depression, and then one of the boys is partially diagnosed with Asperger's?
Never formally diagnosed, but, just adjusting your parenting style to react to his emotions. It was a challenge for us, like I said, all three of them are so different. Blake is the cool kid, and, really we just kind of joke around with each other, and it's kind of a fun relationship. And Braden and I have that too, but you have to approach things differently with each kid. Braden is, super emotional, so you have to really approach him differently. Kate, you have to approach her softly, because Lord, her feelings will just fall to her feet with any type of discipline. So, I think having a blanket parent style is just not, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You can't just say comply. You really have to adjust your methods, and you have to, be compassionate toward their needs. They're going to do some dumb stuff, and they're going to make you mad, and you're going to react.
We did the same thing. We did done stuff and made our parents mad. And
it's going to happen. So, I think adjusting, the way you react to them and showing them some respect, even if it's something that you've told them 10,000 times to do, the simplest things. Just my blood pressure's raising right now thinking of a few. You have to be, kind of the enforcer, but at the same time, they're kids, so you gotta have some bit of compassion for it.
Exactly. They're going to mess up. It's going to happen.
They're going to screw up.
Yes.
And it's important to guide them if they do something just straight up defiant or mean or something, we're going to discipline. We're going to take care of that. But if they screw up, and it's because either they have misinformation or they just don't know any better, then that's where you kind of correct and guide them. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm still working on that too. I'm not I'm not super dad
Yeah.
by any means. I'm not super husband. I'm still working on myself.
Well, that's what we said. Like these conversations is going to help all of us. Not,
Yeah, exactly.
None of us are perfect, and we're not going to be. We're going to continue to fail all the time.
Yeah.
But through these conversations, we can pick up bits and pieces and become better.
Yeah, if we could just plant the seeds, just these small little seeds in people, and that's kind of what I've taken, from just either quotes or reading books or seeing other people's, Facebook posts and groups. You pull little seeds from everything, and you kind of adjust it to your life, and how can you implement it to make our life better?
Yeah. Do you feel that going through the postpartum depression, going through the loss of your brother, and going on the continuous journey with Braden with his Asperger's, do you feel like that that has made you and your wife be able to take a lot of the smaller things and be like, no, that's just stupid, we're not going to deal with it, because you've already been through these bigger things and got over that?
We try to be big picture thinkers. The small things, I tend to deal with things a little bit more calmly. She's great in dealing with things, and she deals with a lot. She's there, at home. Right now, just because we're about to move.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think so. And it's really was a slow evolution and just kind of understanding what's going on. And, we tried to parent him the same way we parented the others, and it just didn't work. And so we just kind of slowly found little methods, and then it just finally clicked one day in my head. I was like, we got to do this different. And, her and Brayden, Lord, they butt heads, and so he usually just, deals with me. They get on each other's nerve, love their hearts. They love each other like crazy, but they drive each other nuts.
Well, that's a mama's boy too. They're going to.
Yeah. He loves his mama more than anything, but he just gets reactive, and he's like, okay, let's check ourselves real quick. Let's take a 5-minute break. Let's chill.
And I'd say that's a pretty big hurdle, because you want to, like you said, have a blanket parenting policy, but then you're like, it won't work. I can't.
Yeah. Well, you got to check yourself too. It's because you're upset because there's, people are upset in the house, and you want to react and you want to solve the problem.
Yeah.
But if you react the wrong way, then the problem's going to get worse.
Yes.
So, I've really tried to take that approach, and it's worked, most of the time it works. Sometimes just everybody's got to walk away, go have a spoon of ice cream, go do something. We'll address this later after dinner.
And I'm sure it's easy to get caught up in that, to want to, it's a whole lot easier to continue driving straight down the road than it is to turn off on a side road. Yeah. And just like you were talking about the guys earlier in the Facebook group posting, those pictures. Yeah, it would be a whole lot easier to just comment and go along with the flow, rather than putting the brakes on and saying, no, this is not right. We should not be doing this. And I'm not going to get involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I did say one time I made a comment on there, and I was like, hey, like, I know this is men's retreat, but, do your wives not ever pick up your phone? So I didn't want to take the approach of like being the guy that's but I was like, hey, there might be a time where she's going to pick up this phone and she's going to see what y'all are talking about.
Yeah. It's Facebook. It's going to be eventually somewhere, everywhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
She will find it. Your wife is going to pick up your phone at some point in time. Even if it's like, hey, check that text message, see who texts me, or, she's going to gain access. So you don't want that. And I don't know about you, but my 3-year-old, my 6-year-old all the time want to see my phone.
Oh yeah.
And you definitely don't want them to see that kind of stuff. So
like, Daddy, who is this woman you're posting about?
Oh, that's my coworker.
It's going to get brought up in the car on the way to Kroger with the wife. She's like, I was on Daddy's phone. That's when you go get a stream of text messages.
And then all that that you've worked towards just goes out the door.
Falls out because you wanted to post a picture of some girl. Throw your life away for something so silly.
Yes, exactly. So I want to touch back on Kate and Braden and Blake. What do you feel like is the best part of being a dad to them?
One is that you're a superhuman to 3 people. Like like, I know I'm a pretty okay guy, but to these three, you are like, you wear a cape around, you know, especially Kate, you know, like she just thinks I hung the moon.
Yes.
Like daddy can fix anything. He could beat up anybody.
Yeah.
His feet don't stink.
Yeah.
You know, even though she's kind of mean to me sometimes, but you know, and,
She got to keep you straight somehow.
yeah. You know, I mean, you know, you're guiding these three little humans into the world, and you know, I don't make them become me. You know, the boys, you know, they don't have to become builders or nurses, or you know, I really encourage them to go on their own path and you know, explore their own interests. So I think they respect me for that. You know, I'm not the you will comply type parent. You know, like we were talking about, you know, off the air. You know, I'm their friend first. You know, really, quite frankly, like I'm best friends with all three of my kids, and I will guide them. I'll discipline them, but just having that individual relationship with each of them and not having that blanket parent style, it really kind of encourages that, because each one knows that you're tailoring to their needs.
Yes.
And you're really listening to them. So to them, like, you're just the greatest thing in the world. So that's probably the best part about being a dad. Kate, love her heart, she has been attached to my hip since she was born.
It's amazing how girls do that.
Yeah, you know, the staff at Lowe's, like, they've watched her grow up. You know, so there's some employees that have been there since, you know, she was born, and they've literally watched her grow up. But she would, when she was little, she's like, "Daddy, let's go to O's." All right, baby girl, let's go. And,
do they love the hot dogs? Man, my kids absolutely.
They want to eat them.
Really?
I know, and they're the best hot dogs.
They are.
They're so good.
Shout out to Paul with Dave's Doghouse down there. It's if you're in Harriman, please swing by on the weekend and get you a hot dog.
AKA Lowe's Dogs.
Lowe's Dogs, yes, for sure. They are amazing.
Oh, they're so good. Well, Kate would, you know, we'd pal around Lowe's, and that was her thing. She'd always get her Funyuns or some kind of snack, and she thought that Lowe's was the only place that distributed M&Ms. So we'd do our trips to Lowe's, and there's actually a picture on, I think it's my wife's Facebook, where she went to Lowe's with us one time. I think we were picking out tile, and Kate was just salty. She was mad.
This is mine and my dad's trip.
She had this look on her face like, how dare you? It was fantastic.
How dare you come into my house?
Yeah, this is my Lowe's.
Yes.
Actually, what's funny is, as we were traveling, we went to, I think it was Louisiana on this trip, and Kate would see Lowe's signs on the interstate. So we'd stop in like these random states and go in, and she'd get some M&Ms from Lowe's in like Mississippi. We'd just take her picture, and we went to Panama City one time, and I was like, "All right, where y'all want to go?" She's like, "O's, Daddy, I want to go to O's."
All right, let's
So
go.
I found something in that beach house that needed fixed, and we went to Lowe's, and I fixed it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's you know, that's not normally a trip that you would think of for a daddy-daughter to go, but
that's her thing. Yep.
most time it's like a Disney store, or you know,
Yeah.
take me to go find a dress, or
Nope.
no, it's the Lowe's.
Going to Lowe's.
That's all. I mean, you can't complain about that. You know, 'cause
No, it's fantastic.
I know from my aspect, and we're a whole lot alike in this. You know, we're fixers, we're DIYers, we're you know, pretty solid in that in that aspect that, you know, we can just about fix anything or build anything. So yeah, I wouldn't be complaining if my daughter wanted to go to Lowe's all the time.
No, it's fantastic. She doesn't so much anymore, and I'm not going to say that it breaks my heart, but she's like, "No, Daddy, I don't want to go." I was like, "Are you sure? Like, they still got Funyuns."
And M&M's. Like,
She's like, "Oh, you could pick me up some." I was like, "No, that's not how this works." It's like, you're going to rip my heart out, and then you're going to make me still get you something.
yeah, exactly.
Rude.
So bringing up Lowe's and us going to Lowe's all the time, I'm into woodworking as well. And I know whenever, you know, I'm working on a project, it's just great, clear my head. I've got, you know, my earplugs in or my AirPods, whichever. It's just like I'm out there by myself and doing, you know, what I do.
Yeah.
Is great me time. So is that what woodworking is with you as well? Or
Yeah, sort of. You know, I don't really take just a lot of just me time. You know, because really, quite frankly, I don't feel like I need it a lot.
Yeah.
but yeah, woodworking for me is that. But usually I'm building something for somebody.
Yeah.
So, and the satisfaction of that is really good. A lot of my Christmas presents I'll build. I don't like to just go buy Christmas presents. It's like, I have no idea what Ryan Ladd wants for Christmas. Like, do you want a foot massager? Do you want, you don't know what people have. So if you can build somebody something, if I were to bring you in, something made out of wood that had to do with firemen, you're going to have it for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And
I mean, a whole lot more than just going and buying it.
So, I do like picture frames, and I'll build, islands. I built my mom a couple islands for a kitchen, and gun cases for my dad and my stepdad, just things that they can keep forever. And so to me, that satisfaction is really cool. Is being able to build stuff for people. And also it is a good way to just kind of clear your head. It's by no means, woodworking is not a sustainable business on my, it's a hobby that pays for itself.
Yes.
But you can't charge the amount of time that you put into something like that. So,
and mine is not a paying gig. Mine is, my wife says, well, I want this kind of table or something, and I can't find anything to fit. So will you build it?
I have a lot of that too. My wife is, I call her the pointer. She's like, I want that painted that color, and I want that built there. You can take down the plaster and this, and it's like, yes, baby.
So it's not paying for itself; it's just saving you a lot of money.
Yeah, doing the projects for other people, it pays for the hobby and my tools and such, and maybe some of her projects too.
Oh yeah. Stuff just isn't built that you buy from the store like the way it used to be. And so I tell my wife, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's going to save a lot of money, but I'm going to be able to build it a whole lot better than what I can go buy in the store.
Yeah, exactly. You spend half the amount of money. The quality is incredible, and you're eating dinner on a table that you built for your family.
Yeah.
And you're building tables for other families, and they're going to, gather around your table. Somebody's going to say, hey, where did you get this table? They're like, oh, hey, he built it.
Yes.
So that's really cool. I like to do pieces like that. I built a couple islands this past Christmas for people. And one guy, he did it to surprise his wife. So I came over and measured while she was at work, and then I delivered it while she was at work. So just, and she, thank God, she loved it. I said,
that'd been my luck.
I said, man, what if she comes home and she doesn't want this here? It's like, and then just to mess with him, I was like, what if you picked the wrong paint color? It's like, I'll paint it.
I'll redo it, whatever I got to do.
Yeah. So that's really probably the thing I like the most about woodworking is just, the satisfaction of building something for somebody, and, going back to the love language, that's how I show love for people. I build them things, I do things for them.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it for me.
And that's I built our kitchen table upstairs, and the kids have done their homework on them, or they, like my 3-year-old son has took a something hard and hit it on the table, and so all those nicks, all those everything's on that, and that's something that you can't go buy in a store. That all that history and all those memories and everything is like you said, it's going to be there forever, and you're going to have it forever.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't, like you said, you can't just go buy something like that. And these tables that you build, they'll last for 100 years, 200 years.
Yes.
So my kids can have the table I built in 2015, in the year 2215 or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
So I think that's just super cool.
So I really want to get into this this Maine trip, man. This is for everybody. This has boggled my brain whenever we were talking about it before, that what's about to take place, and I think it's really awesome. Jamie and his wife are going to do a kind of blog and vlog type style with this. So I'm gonna let him tell you about the Maine trip and what's going on in their life and this journey they're about to take, and we'll just go from there. So,
all right. So this started a few years back. My wife and I brought up travel nursing, and we were thinking they were going to send us to New Mexico, which we were like, okay, whatever. But then they said, hey, we have this job in Maine. It's a little town called Rockland, and it's right on the coast, and it's ridiculously stunning. Like, it's incredible. So my wife fell in love with Maine, and that was it. Like, she went to LL Bean, and I ain't been able to bring her back ever since. So it's come up randomly. We did a 3-month assignment. It's come up randomly, just in conversation, you know, like, hey, you know, we took one trip up there, and that just reignited that fire. But, you know, every now and then we'll be talking, and she's like, yo, it'd be really nice to see Christmas in Maine, or, you know, Christmas in Camden, or, you know, his LL Bean catalog is great in the mail, but, you know, walking my dog into Freeport, Maine. So she started pushing it a little bit the last few months, and I was like, you know what? It's like, we're on this crazy journey to be better in our marriage, and I was like, you know what? If that's your happy place, like, I want to see you in your happy place. Yes. Like, that was kind of it. But it's not that she forced me to do it by any means. You know, I got a great job up there. You know, I love the architecture up there. You know, the cold doesn't bother me. You know, here in the summer when it's 90 degrees and 90% humidity, you can only take off so much.
Yeah, exactly.
I can add layers up there.
Yeah.
So, and that's not bad. You'll have little old ladies in their, you know, Subaru all-wheel drives, get out in their walker, going to the grocery store in the snow. It's not a thing. So yeah, we're going to do probably a year to a year and a half up there. We're selling our house. We are literally all in. Yeah, sold off some furniture. We're taking the dog, the cats. We might even take the kids with us. We're all in. We found a place up there that we're gonna, you know, do some work on for somebody. And you know, we're looking into possibly purchasing a home. The possibility of doing some renovations up there is in the works. We're really considering that. So I'm just taking all my tools with me.
As flipping homes, is that?
Well,
basically?
I think down the road, yeah. I don't think I'm quite ready for that just yet. You know, I've got a few contacts up there that do need some renovation, and we've been offered a commission to sell one of the houses that we're going to live in. We've also been offered to purchase the home, which that could be a possibility. Just we haven't seen it yet. Yeah. So I do want to work into that space, and that's something that us together have talked about. We've not said a lot about it publicly, but I'm on a podcast right now saying it, so it's probably
it's out there.
Yeah,
news alert.
Yeah. So the main goal is no pun intended there. The main goal, dad joke, but it's. So, you know, I will do the work as a nurse. You know, hopefully she's going to land a good gig up there. You know, she's a medical lab tech, so she has possibilities. You know, the real estate thing, I'm looking for some mentors up there because I do need to learn a little more. I can fix anything, I can do anything, but I do need to learn a little more. You know, I'm humble enough to know that, you know, I don't want to go just full into it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that is a very, very real possibility what we're looking at together. So we'll have, you know, our separate jobs, you know, as a nurse and a lab tech, and then we'll have a business together. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, especially the team you already built here, it's going to be.
Yeah. You know, and when we talk about the blog, that's something that I've never done it before. This is my first time ever being on video, doing something like this. So the content is going to be kind of sketchy at first. Just learning how to do it, getting in the groove of it. But you know, if you ask me what my dream would be in 8 to 10 months, it'd be, you know, we're having a candlelit dinner in an unfinished kitchen in some house that we've bought, and we're posting a blog about it.
Yeah, exactly.
1 o'clock in the morning, covered in sawdust. Might not be her idea. She might be at home in bed. But you know, that's my vision of it. That's what I'd like to see happen. We'll just see. You know, I think it's gonna take a lot of steps. But you know, like I always say, you know, you can't be a boss if you make basic moves.
Exactly.
You know, it's a bold move to make. We're probably the only ones that are extremely comfortable with it. All our friends are like, "You guys are nuts. It's cold up there. I can't believe you're selling your house. You know, what are you running from?" We just get all kinds of things. It's like we're not running from anything.
It's just our journey. This is what we're going to do.
We're living our life.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to be back.
Yeah, and on top of that, the experiences, the memories,
the life experience. In 5 years, we're not going to look back and say, "Man, I wish I didn't do that."
Yeah, exactly.
So I think taking the step to do it, it's like I told her, it's not that much different than moving from here to Knoxville. The trip is longer.
Yes.
But you set up a house, you set up a job, and you go.
And not only that, man, you're building your marriage by stepping out of your comfort zone.
Right. Yeah.
If you stay in your comfort zone and you never challenge yourself, or you never challenge your marriage, or you never step out of that, you're going to be the same old. Like you said, regardless if you're going to Maine or you're going to Knoxville, you have to do something that's out of your comfort zone, because that way it brings you and your wife together to become more of a team to work towards a further goal.
We're not going to have anybody up there. It's her and I and our kids. There won't be babysitters. There won't be anything like that. We've established a couple minimal, relationships up there, a couple people that we can become friends with, but overall, it's just us, and it's us against. I hate to say us against the world, but that's what we're doing.
You against Maine, basically.
Yeah, at least. A couple of country folks moving in on them.
Yes,
they may not like that too much. I don't know.
I think it's an awesome idea. However, I'm not a big fan of the cold weather, so I would rather move to Florida or somewhere like that. But I don't think I could deal with with all the snow, and I'll go visit, snowboard, and do all that stuff, but I'm not going to stay there and live.
You get you some insulated boots, and you get you a Snuggie or something, and heated blankets. Those are fantastic up there.
So you've already started the vlog, right? Like you've already created
the page is there.
Yes.
I have a grand total of like 2 followers, and that's okay, because I literally I put the page up there. Like the name is probably going to change because. News alert. Maybe I started the page. She doesn't know yet.
FYI.
Yeah. Well, she knew we were going to do it. Just we hadn't really landed on a name yet. So right now it's called Bold Coast Reno. That probably will change, and when and if it does, we'll post on there.
And where can they find that at?
It's on Instagram and on Facebook right now.
So all y'all listening, go to Facebook and go to Instagram and find Bold Coast Reno, and like and subscribe and follow along to.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just a couple posts on there right now. It's just our current home and the home that we're moving into. One of my sons is going to be riding up with me in the U-Haul, so hopefully he'll have some ideas of stuff to post on the way. I'll kind of rely on him to.
And he's a big TikToker, right?
Yeah. Oh, he loves it. So I'll see if he'll make some goofy videos with me and. Try to embarrass myself a little bit.
It's not a good video unless you embarrass yourself.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So everybody, please go and follow Jamie and Kristen and the rest of the family's vlog there on Instagram and Facebook. And I hope that you was able to take some good value bombs away from this podcast today. And Jamie has just had a wealth of knowledge and what he's working on to build with his wife and helping out. So just please go follow along and give them some love. And Jamie, I want to thank you for being on the show today and greatly appreciate you. And thank you for all the great information. So
it was great to do it with you, man. It's been awesome.
So for the rest of you, go to @the Dad Show Podcast on all social media platforms, as well as online at thedadshowpodcast.com. We've got our merch on there. We've got information, and you can find all ways to our videos and podcast as well. So as always, I want to thank y'all for being with us. God bless you, and I love everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Dad Show Podcast. Please like, review, and subscribe.